Hello, this is the Radio Geek, and today for you I've got the latest and greatest, newest shortwave radio out there. It's the Radiwow. So Radio Wow without the O. So where do they come up with these names? I don't know. It's the R108, and it is an AM, FM, longwave, and shortwave radio, and it has the Airband, so it has 5 different bands. Quite an interesting little radio. It's been creating quite the buzz in the portable radio community, I guess. So a lot of people are reviewing it and trying it out, and most people seem to like it. It's a nice little radio. It comes with a piece of wire that plugs into the antenna port on the side of the radio, and when I'm doing some band scans here, I'll have this plugged in. It does work okay on the whip, but this really does improve things, so that's probably why they include it. So that's kind of nice. You get the USB cable, which charges the battery, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then we have the owner's manual here, which is pretty good. It's pretty well written. It explains things pretty well. Shows you all the features and how to set the clock and the channels and squelch and all that for the Airband. So it's pretty comprehensive little manual. Does a good job of explaining things to you. We'll set that stuff aside there, and we'll get the radio here. It's a small little guy. It's very well laid out. It has a number of different features, and it has these features that you can set basically with the radio off. You can change the whether the spacing is either 9 kilohertz or 10 kilohertz for the AM band. You can enable or disable long wave. Mine came default with it disabled. I don't know if they do that for ones that are going to North America, because there's really nothing on long wave to pick up, unlike Europe or someplace like that. You can set the FM spacing as well, as I believe you can pick different frequency portions that you can use for the FM band. It's different in different places in the world. I think there are 3 different settings for that. You can turn on and off the beep, which I turned off because I don't like the beep every time you push the buttons. But if you can turn it on or off, it's no big deal. It has a numeral keypad for frequency input. You can input the frequency directly, then the frequency you want, and frequency, and you'll jump right to it. I believe it's the 0 button. If you push that down when you're on shortwave and hold it, you can click through the meter bands. This is your band button over here, where you can toggle between AM, FM, and shortwave and airband, and longwave if you have it enabled. This button here you can push, and it says AM bandwidth, so either on AM or shortwave you can toggle through the bandwidth, and you can eliminate adjacent noise or interference with that. You can go up and down in frequency here with these 2 buttons here, or you can use the tuning knob, and you can set that for 1 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz. It has alarm function as well, and then it has a number of different features up here in the corner. When you hit the display button, what it will display. So let me just turn it on so I can show you that portion of it. And when you turn it on, it'll default for 120 minutes, and you just keep hitting the button, and you can cycle through different amount of sleep time. I set mine for 60 minutes, so now every time I turn on the radio, it starts there. You can see up here in the far corner it has a clock, and that's what I have the display set for, is the clock. Let me get into the, oops, a little too far. Get into the screen here a little closer, and you can see what's there. You got the clock, and you can see what the alarm is set for, what time that would be, the temperature, and this is on AM, tuned to 1190, and then that's the signal to noise ratio. It's constantly updating, and then it just toggles back again, and you can stop it wherever you want. The interesting thing is, you see here it's 70 degrees F, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and if you have your AM spacing set for 10 kilohertz, it'll display the temperature in Fahrenheit. But if you have it set for 9 kilohertz, it'll display the temperature in degrees Celsius. So it's just like the Texans. That's exactly what they do, which I've said before must really annoy the Canadians, because they're in North America and they've got a 10 kilohertz spacings, but most, I would say, prefer Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. So they got those tied together, just like the Texan. This radio is actually a lot like a Texan as far as some of the things and features it has and the way it works. It does have, says here in the bottom that it has 500 memory presets down here at the bottom. And it does have 500. It has 100 frequencies for each band. So AM's got 100 frequency presets, FM's got 100, long wave's got 100, airband's got 100, short wave's got 100. You know, that's how they divided it up. But if you have long wave disabled, or you don't have anything to listen to, you can't reallocate those memories for anything else. So you don't have all those presets because they're dedicated to, each band has 100. The other thing it does is you can store frequencies that you find in memory, and you have, like I say, 100 in each band. But if you use the ATS function and you scan and it finds whatever frequencies it finds, it will basically overwrite anything that you had in there. So basically, let's say you were on shortwave and you had 10 of your favorite shortwave stations already in the memory, and then you want to try out the automatic scan function and finding out what's out there on shortwave. So you hook up your piece of wire to it and you push that, and it goes through and it scans and it finds channels or frequencies, and it puts them into those presets. Well, when it does that, anything that you had on in those shortwave memories will be overwritten by that. So I kind of wish that they would have had a separate chunk of memory for just the automatic tuning. You know, perhaps they could have made, 50 presets per band, and then had 50 presets per band for the automatic tuning or something like that, so you could still retain your frequencies that you entered in there manually. I do like the color scheme. I like the color of the radio. It's kind of a lighter gray, and they did a really nice job on the buttons. They're yellow on the numbers, and they're pretty easy to read. So that looks good, and the white looks good. But they've got these other functions like changing the spacings on the channels on AM and long wave on and off and FM set. They've got those in red, and then the alarm functions and some other things that are in red. And in good light, that's okay, but sometimes that would be hard to read. So if perhaps they used a different color for that with greater contrast, like if they would have made those yellow or white or something else that would stand out a little bit better with this darker background. But I do prefer this color over the that kind of gray color that you see sometimes where they just paint you know, the radio case basically. So I do kind of prefer that. It does have on this side, it's got your tuning. You can tune with the knob, which is very nice. And then you can set the step of the tuning by pushing in the button. It's also a button. And that also acts as a squelch setting for when you're on the Airband. You have your volume up and down here, your USB input here, micro USB 5 volts to charge the rechargeable battery, the antenna here up on the top, and on this side you have your antenna input for that piece of wire that they give you. It's a good idea to use that. Headphone jack there. It sounds pretty nice on the FM on the headphones. The bottom has a little pinhole here for, I suppose, a paperclip or something, and if the thing locks up or acts crazy or it's just not performing well, you might try resetting that, and that's just pushing in on that little button in there for a few seconds, and it'll reset the radio. I presume it would be just like it was from the factory, where it would just wipe everything out. The back has a little kickstand that sits up on the back, and then it's got the frequency ranges here as well. It says 87.5 to 108 or 64 to 108 megahertz for the FM. Medium wave is 522 to 1620, and long wave is 150 to 450 kilohertz. Shortwave, this is the nice thing. Shortwave is 1711 through 29999. So basically it's right after the AM band, broadcast band ends, all the way up to 30 megahertz. So that is the entire shortwave band, which is really nice. There are no gaps there. Oh, I forgot to mention that when the medium wave, the 522 to 1620 was the 9 kilohertz, and 520 to 1710 is the 10 kilohertz. So it does do the extended AM band in North America. Airband 118 to 137. So pretty nice. Yeah, it also has not only the kickstand, but it also has this rechargeable battery here, which is one of these very common cell phone battery. It's the BL5C, a 3.7 volt lithium ion battery. These are fairly common, so you could get replacements for them if you choose to do that and have two going or whatever. It says here this one that it's 1,000 milliamp hour battery. It may be, you know, 400. Who knows? But anyway, so that's kind of like the only kind of a downfall, I guess, is that it has just the cell phone battery. I mean, the radio is thick enough that maybe they could have done what they did with the some of the other radios, where they have a dual battery, where they have the cell phone battery and then you can put like AA's or AAA's or something in there as well. You can do either or. That would have been kind of a nice thing to have for this style radio. But you know, those batteries seem like they're really you know, readily available on the internet, and they've been around for a long time, so they'll probably still be available for quite some time yet to come. All right, not a bad form factor. Pretty comprehensive little radio. It does just about everything, and got this on Amazon. It was $49.95, so less than $50 for this little guy. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. I've got some clips here that I'm going to put here that have different band scans and different bands, and just kind of a little demo of the radio and so forth. But if you've been thinking about getting one and you're not quite sure, but you know, if you get it from Amazon and give it a try, and you know, if it's not for you, you can always send it back. So that's kind of nice. It's not as hard to return as it is from some of the other places that this radio is available. I know originally this was only available from like places like AliExpress and things like that, but you can get it on Amazon now, and it's the same price. So If you don't like it, you can return it. So that's just a no-brainer just to get it from Amazon, I think. So anyway, we'll cut to some band scans and some demos of the radio.
Right to not want to be protected by somebody. You're assuming that...
But that's irrelevant, because the issue is what's best for the military, what's best for national security, and what's best for the country. It's not about a women's rights issue. It's not about a black issue. It's not about any of that. It's not about men making decisions for women. That's not the issue at all. This used to be well understood. It's not anymore.
Well, I think if you talk to people that served in Israel, and I have many friends...
But I brought up Israel originally. I love Israel. We're not Israel. They have 6 million people. They face Iran that has like 70 to 90 million. Other countries and so forth, they do it out of absolute necessity. Now, you said to me originally, if we needed to do it out of necessity, I said, yes. If you need to do it out of necessity, I understand. But it started with the draft. And when it comes to the draft, it's not done out of necessity. The arguments that were made in that federal court in Texas had nothing to do with necessity, because necessity is not the issue. What you had is a bunch of disgusting men in there saying, it's not fair, we get drafted and our wives and daughters don't. I want to thank you for your service, I really do. We'll be right back. President Trump talked about drug prices in his recent State of the Union. His administration has made progress.
Just the headlines. This is WCBS News Radio 880.
President Trump is en route to Vietnam for his second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Vice President Pence announces the U.S. will move to impose a new round of sanctions on members of the Maduro regime in Venezuela. The SEC asks a federal judge to hold Elon Musk in contempt for violating a settlement with tweets. Comedian Jon Stewart joins 9/11 responders and lawmakers on Capitol Hill battling for a replenishment of the Victims' Compensation Fund. In sports, Nets lead the Spurs late in the second quarter. Devils lead the Canadiens 2-0 in the second period. 34 degrees, Monday, February 25th. It's 8:31.
CBS News Update. President Trump expressed optimism before leaving Washington for Vietnam and his second summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un.
We're speaking loud, and I think we can have a very good summit. I think we'll have a very tremendous summit.
Tufts University Korean Studies professor Sung-Yoon Lee says the pressure is on Mr. Trump to show progress toward a deal on denuclearization.
The first summit last June was so vacuous, so devoid of any details. There has to be something more substantive, and I fear the substantive developments will mostly favor the North Korean side.
CBS News North Korea expert Robert Carlin, a former CIA analyst, says the U.S. still has the upper hand in the relationship.
The North Koreans, specifically Kim Jong-un, have a lot of things they want to do to improve their economy. That's where our leverage is.
The two leaders meet Wednesday in Hanoi. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
And we are just getting word that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has just arrived in Vietnam, stepping off an armored train at the Vietnamese border town ahead of the summit with President Trump. It is 8:32. In Colombia, Vice President Mike Pence met with Venezuela's opposition leader in Bogota. For the U.S. record, a bronze T-shirt is nominated for a prestigious prize that would also benefit her students.
They brought music back to PS48 after decades without a music program.
It's just such a validation of the power of music education.
Melissa Salguero is one of 10 teachers around the world, the only American and the only music teacher nominated for the Varkey Foundation's Global Teacher Prize. The winner's school gets $1 million. Joseph DiCrescento is the principal.
One of the things that we wanted to do is turn the school into a performing arts school, and then we're one step closer to making that with this big announcement.
Several years ago, Salguero raised money to buy instruments so that students wouldn't have to rent them. She had to do it all over again when the school was broken into in 2014 and the instruments were stolen. She got them all replaced. Sonia Rincon, 1010 wins in Hunts Point. Wednesday's time, 8:30, for a billionaire endorsement for another billionaire. Warren Buffett tells CNBC he would support Michael Bloomberg for president if Bloomberg decides to run. He says he disagrees with some of Bloomberg's positions, but he thinks the former New York City mayor knows how to run things. Buffett says he does not support former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, saying he would hurt the Democratic nominee. The train carrying North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has arrived in Vietnam for his second summit with President Trump.
The air. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, 25 now till the top of the hour, 800-941-SEAN, our toll-free telephone number. That was some audio, the video we played last week on Hannity on the Fox News channel, literally at Berkeley. UC Berkeley, you know, the ever-so-tolerant left-wing campuses of America. Berkeley, the home of free speech, supposedly. Anyway, after that, what you see is, you know, literally this guy beating the crap, trying to beat the crap out of young man by the name of Hayden Williams. He's a Leadership Institute field representative. You know, conservative groups calling on the University of California now to take action against the campus employee who, you know, praised the alleged assault on this activist. Now, here's the thing. There are 3 eyewitnesses. In a minute, we'll go to Hayden Williams, who got cold-cocked in this battle. Why would UC Berkeley, an employee that works for them, be elated by the violence against an innocent person in this particular case? What is it about the MAGA hat that is now triggering people? Make America Great Again is now a trigger.
Despite his young age, he was as mature as a 45-year-old experienced journalist. He had learned a lot in the past 2 years. In 10 minutes, he could find any piece of information from public databases, both Slovak and foreign. His main advantage was that he had an analytical mind and was very skilled in filtering information and connecting dots. The article he was working on before being killed was about the business of the Italian mafia in Slovakia and its connections to high-level politicians. He was investigating how they abused the system of subsidies for farmers and how they were trying to eliminate the competition.
This last unfinished article was published at midnight a few days after his murder, not only by Actuality.sk but also by all media outlets in Slovakia. One of the main characters in the article, Antonino Vadala, had been investigated in Italy for alleged connections to the mafia. After being released due to a lack of evidence, he opened several businesses in Slovakia and an energy system. According to Potiak's report, he has had business links to 2 of Prime Minister Robert Fico's advisors, Maria Trošková and Vivian Jašan. Both stepped down from their position a few days after the article was published. Vadala was later extradited to Italy, where he had been charged with the government fell. In September, 4 people, including the alleged shooter, were arrested in southern Slovakia. The investigation is ongoing. Sociologist Michal Vašečka explains the impact that the murder of Kuciak and his fiancée had on Slovakia.
Toto začína byť tým spúšťačom, kedy si ľudia jednoducho povedia a dosť.
Such tragic events quickly trigger a wave of changes. It's a moment when many ordinary people say, enough is enough. I have been frustrated, but so long. People were no longer willing to tolerate that powerful people are untouchable. This is what we have seen in the past year in Slovakia.
Last Thursday, exactly 1 year since the murder took place, 20,000 people again filled SNP Square in Bratislava. Jan Kuciak's father, Jozef, addressed the crowd from the stage.
Ale najsmutnejšie na tom všetkom je, keď sa dozvieme približne po roku vyšetrovania tejto vraždy to, že
After the murder, I was in a sort of vacuum for some time and could not even publicly speak about him or what had happened. But now it's time to speak. A year after the murder, we have found out not only that Jan had been spied on by a former member of the Secret Service who collected information about him in exchange for money paid by Mr. Kotzner, a businessman, but also that he was screened by a police chief in the police database. I think everybody can see for themselves in what kind of democracy we have been living.
Commemorative events also took place abroad. From Auckland, New Zealand, Boba Markovič Baluchova, a Slovak living there, sent us this dispatch.
Čo je pre nás ale najviac dôležité, nebol ani tak počet zúčastnených, ale to...
Exactly.
您好，请问您是哪国人？
我是中国人。Next we come to the word 女孩子 girl. 女 the third term, meaning woman or female. 孩子 is child.
孩子。
So together, 女孩子。
女孩子。Then if you told me what man, I would know the Chinese word you're saying.
Man in Chinese is man, the second term.
So boy in Chinese is Hey, and by the way, the tone of man is similar to the character man. Oh, right?
Yes, exactly. 203房间 room number 203.
203房间 means 2, 0, 0, and 3 is 3.
Yes, 房间 means room.
房间 So room 203 is 203房间
小郑，你住哪个房间？
我住203房间
Now here are some more examples. 红苹果 red apple.
红苹果
红 meaning red. 苹果 apple.
苹果
红苹果 red apple.
红苹果 Roger, could you tell me how you say green in Chinese?
Well, in Chinese, it's blue, the fourth tone. Let me tell you one more word. Yes means leaf.
Yes. So together it's blue. Yes. Green leaf.
Yes. Blue, yes.
我喜欢吃红苹果，你呢？
我也喜欢吃红苹果。那是什么？
那是一片绿叶子。
Keyword reminder. Today, we've learned the phrases that are composed of two parts, and the first word modifies the second one. 中国人 the Chinese person. 女孩子 girl. 男孩子
Boy, 203A. Room number 203. 红苹果 Red apple. 绿叶子 Green leaf. Well, with that, we come to the end of this edition of Chinese Studio. Now, our question of the day is, how do the Chinese say girl?
It's just around the word, so it shouldn't be too hard. You're welcome to write to us in Chinese characters or in pinyin. Class is over for today. 明天见.
明天见.
Send your answer to the following email address, chinese@cri.com.cn. You can also log on to www.crienglish.com. Click Learn Chinese to know more about the program and to access to a lot more Chinese learning material. You've been listening to China Plus Radio, a division of China Radio International, connecting you with China and the world.
The following program is a recording of a live broadcast transmitted 7:01 Beijing time, examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you by China Radio International. On this Tuesday, February 26, 2019.
Listen to appears before the European Parliament's Committees on Civil Liberty, Justice and Home Affairs and Budgetary Control on Tuesday. Romanian Justice Minister Tudor Toader on Monday said a dialogue mechanism has been set up to talk to authorities and magistrates over Emergency Decree number 7. According to the Justice Minister, the mechanism will result in a memorandum so that each draft law proposed by the government beyond decision-making transparency should be submitted to the Superior Council of Magistracy at least 5 days in advance so it can be analyzed, debated and approved. The Romanian official said one of the provisions in the decree allowing judges to be appointed at the helm of prosecutors' offices will be reviewed. The announcement followed a meeting between Prime Minister Viorica Dăncilă and representatives of magistrates associations and the Superior Council of Magistracy at the government headquarters in Bucharest. On Friday, magistrates in Bucharest and across the country protested against the challenges to the justice laws, calling for the independence of the judiciary. Also in the protest, several prosecutors' offices have suspended their activities this week. The anti-mafia office also decided to suspend its activity until March 8th, during which time only emergency cases will be tested. Citizens too protested on Sunday evening in Bucharest and other cities. Prime Minister Viorica Dăncilă has given assurances that the government is willing to support all institutions of the field in order to ensure fair justice for all citizens. The parliamentary election in Moldova on Sunday on Monday. Agent the OSCE said the ballot did not report any major incidents and was held in a professional and transparent manner. The pro-European opposition, however, labeled the vote as one of the most undemocratic in the history of the Republic. Igor Dodon's pro-Russia Socialist had the largest number of seats in Parliament, 35 out of 101. Second came from the Center Democratic Party of the controversial with 30, followed by the pro-European parties of Conference with 26. Also, 3 independents and 7 representatives of the People's Party, headed by the pro-Russia mayor of Orhei, Ilan Shor, will be represented in Parliament. Shor is accused of involvement in $1 billion from the country's banking system. Romania's President Klaus Iohannis has called on the government to repeal Decree number 7 and implement the recommendations of the latest report issued by the European Commission under the Cooperation and Verification Mechanism, as well as those included in the report of the Venice Commission. According to a presidency release, the head of state said the new decree and the manner of its adoption pose a challenge to the separation of powers and violate the jurisprudence of the Constitutional Court, also ignoring Romania's obligations as a new member state. The president said that in any democracy, the judiciary cannot be subordinated to politics and any quick modification of regulations for the benefit of certain people or groups cannot be described as an emergency. Candidates running for the position of Chief European Prosecutor will appear before the Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs and the Committee on Budgetary Control in the Chief Prosecutor will head European Prosecutor's Office, which is expected to start its work in 2020. The three candidates are Jean-François Bonner of France, Laura Kudryavtseva of Romania, and Andrzej Ritter of Germany. This month, Bucharest and other large cities in Romania have seen manifestations in support of the former head of the National Anti-Corruption Directorate, Laura Kudryavtseva, who was subpoenaed by the Special Section Investigating Magistrates. She is accused of use of office, bribe-taking and perjury. Keveshy has dismissed all accusations, saying the charges do, however, affect her candidacy. Romania supports the need for a strong partnership between the EU and the Arab League to find common solutions to current developments, such as migration, radicalization and terrorism, as well as in order to deal with medium and long-term challenges, such as climate change, sustainable development and the creation of new jobs. President Klaus Iohannis said on the sidelines of the first EU-Arab League summit held in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. On Monday, participants adopted a statement highlighting the party's decision to consolidate cooperation with the new capital of the Multilateral Council in order to ensure regional stability and prosperity. Virus, raising the death toll to 151 this season. Both victims suffered from previous diseases and had not taken the anti-grippe vaccine, and that was the news.
Thousands of people took part in protests staged on Sunday night in Romania's biggest cities against the latest emergency order to change the justice laws. And Cristiano Pesco, with his commentary by Corina Cristal. Thousands of people have again taken to the streets in Bucharest and many other cities in Romania to protest against an emergency order changing the justice.
They shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. You know what it says? Peace and safety, then sudden destruction, that's travail. You know what it says? Huh? They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. He shall destroy the sinners thereof out of. For the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. I will punish the world.
$3502, can I have guys,